Two of the nicest things or most beneficial things in the new law for businesses have to do directly with depreciation. The first is the limit for Section 179 expensing, and the second is the limit for bonus depreciation. These limits, you should know, have only been extended for 1 year. So we do expect to see some more discussion as the year progresses on these. The changes are retroactive to 2012, however, so that's good news. And the only thing about that to note, or that I've thought about, is really Section 179 expensing limits, the increase in limits, and the bonus depreciation were originally put into place to be helpful for the economy, for economic stimulus. Well, by the fact that it was made, the extenders were made retroactive, that really didn't allow us any planning opportunities for 2012. So I don't see how it really helps stimulate the economy for 2012. Going forward to 2013, we have a lot of opportunities for planning, so it's good news in that area. But for those who can take advantage of it in 2012, unfortunately, if you can, it's a bonus. For those of you who didn't plan ahead, then we'll have to do some planning for 2013. But just quickly, the Section 179 expensing limit for 2012 and 2013 is going to be $500,000. Before the new law, it was set to drop for 2013 all the way down to $25,000. There's a top-end limit for the amount of purchases you can make that will apply. For 2012 and 13, that limit is $2 million. For 2013, before the new law, it was set to drop to $200,000. So the new law is very good news there. Bonus depreciation is going to be 50% for both years. It was set to completely go away for 2013. So for the fact that it was put into place again for 2012 and 2013 was very good news. So let's just refresh for a few minutes on what these two things are, what Section 179 and bonus depreciation are and how they work for your business. Section 179 expense allows the treatment of qualifying purchases of equipment, items used in your business. You're allowed to expense them rather than treat them as a capital expenditure. If they are treated as a capital expenditure, that means you have to depreciate them over the life of the asset, 5, 10, 20, up to 39 years. For Section 179 expense, it has to be property used in a trade or business. You cannot use this on your personal for assets that you purchase personally. It can be a new or used property. It doesn't have to be a brand new item. It just has to be new for you. And it includes off-the-shelf software, computer software, and includes qualified real property, which I'll explain in a few moments. Bonus depreciation goes hand in hand with Section 179, and it allows for the immediate expensing of 50% of the cost of qualifying purchases. So when you purchase an asset, you can write off 50% right off the top. Again, it applies to property used in the trade or business only, and it applies to property with a recovery period of 20 years or less. What that means is under normal depreciation rules, if you would have to depreciate that property 5, 10, 15 years, up to 20 years, it would qualify for bonus depreciation. Real estate, something that has a 39-year class life, would not qualify. For bonus depreciation, it applies to new property only. There's what's called an original use requirement, so it cannot be used property. But it can be claimed after the reduction for the cost of the item after Section 179 has been applied, so the two can work together to get you the best deduction. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. Let's assume, for example, that we purchased a piece of equipment with a 5-year life. It's a piece of machinery. And we purchased less than $2 million in assets total, which means that we're not subject to any phase-out limits for this. So we purchased that new piece of equipment. It cost us $600,000. So right off the top, Section 179 allows us to expense the first $500,000. So like I said, that's great news, which leaves us with a cost remaining of $100,000 that we have not yet expensed. Now we can apply the bonus depreciation to the remaining basis, which gives us 50% of the $100,000 or $500,000. So we're still left with $50,000 we haven't depreciated. That remaining amount, we now just use the normal rules. We depreciate it slowly over 5 years. Total for the year is $560,000. So of that $600,000 new asset, we can write off in this first year $560,000. So as I said, I think that's pretty good news. If ATRA had not gone into had not been passed and had not gone into play here, this is how it would have looked for 2013. Same $600,000 piece of equipment, except that we would have been phased out. There was different limits for phase out, and we would not have been able to take any Section 179 expense deduction. Bonus depreciation had been set to expire, so we wouldn't have that. So we would be left with just the regular depreciation on this asset, spreading it out over 5 years. First year depreciation would be $120,000. So just looking at the two side by side, with ATRA, with the new law, depreciation on the piece of equipment, we'd be able to expense $560,000. Under the old law or without ATRA, it would be $120,000. So like I said, this is some pretty good news for businesses. I don't really understand why this didn't get a lot of coverage in the press. I guess maybe it just wasn't as exciting, but I thought it was pretty exciting.